West Virginia State University, where community leaders are developed.
Experience 21st century learning. Experience friendships that last a lifetime. Experience the world through international opportunities at West Virginia State University. Experience a dynamic learning environment with over 80 areas of study, intimate class sizes, and affordable tuition. West Virginia State University. Experience the power of education.
Welcome back to the Coach's Corner. We are joined now by Cale Bailey. His Yellow Jackets are 18-7 right now in the conference. They sit atop the South Division of the WVSU. Thanks for coming on the show, Coach. First time on, and it's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, it's been a while. 3 or 4 years ago I was on the program. Enjoyed it. It's always good to be here.
Yes, sir. It's good to see you. And your team has played very well, as I mentioned. You sit atop the South. And the South is pretty strong this year. The North is kind of Seton Hill is kind of running away with the North, and the South is there's 3 or 4 teams there that are fighting. West Virginia Wesleyan specifically is one of them. How do you think, how has your team fared in the South Division this year?
Well, we've played more games than anyone in the conference, but our biggest problem was we couldn't get games early on to get us ready for the conference play. And the last 5 or 6 games, it's win 1, lose 1, win 2, lose 2. So the consistency hasn't been there all year, but we're happy with our status within the conference. No
question. Now, one of the things I want to talk to you about is that you have a coaching staff here that is very strong. I think Sean Lloyd's been with you 17 years as an assistant. Just talk a little bit about how much they help you day to day and in game day situations.
Well, I think I have the best baseball coaching staff in the state, even with the Division I school. But Sean's been with me. He played here. He was a catcher, and he's been with me now I don't know how many years. But he's basically the hitting coach. He's a third base coach. Mark Adkins, who is he's a pitching coach. He basically works with the younger players and some of the other guys technique-wise. I'm more of a mental coach than anything else. I think when you get to this level, there's more mental involvement in how you play than there is on the physical level, because if we've done our job in evaluating the players, obviously they can hit, run, throw, and field. So most of the time it has to do with the mental side of it, mental preparation, their approach mentally to it, segmentation, being able to segment baseball from academics, from personal and all that. And but Mark works with the pitchers. Jimmy Mullins, who played here, and Mark played here too after playing at Hurricane. Sean played at Braxton County High School. Jimmy Mullins is from Delaware, and he's our fielding coach. And he graduated from here last year while coaching at Davis and Elkins for a couple of years. So I've got a good coaching staff. It's the most difficult part that we have is trying to get all of our players on the field at the same time to practice. We're allowed 20 hours a week of practice, and we try to get all 20 hours in. Most teams, football too, only practice 2 hours, 2 hours and a half, but with 1:30 classes and 1 o'clock classes and 3 o'clock classes and 4 o'clock classes, it's tough to do that. But we also have a JV team, and we have a 20-game JV schedule, and I think we've played 14 now, and we've only lost 3 of those. So we have some good young players, and it's a good coaching staff, and it's been fun for the most part.
Yes, sir. Now, the pitching rotation for your team is something to talk about. You have Alex Gale, Chase Pickering, Goodall, Kendall, Hunt. You got a number of guys that you could throw out there that have pitched really well, but mainly the 3 guys that start, Gale, Pickering, and Goodall. Let's talk a little bit about those 3 guys and how consistent they've been this year.
Well, Gale's been the most consistent. Chase Pickering, who transferred from West Virginia University, came out strong. has had a little bit of a stale arm, dead arm's what they call it in baseball, but he seems to be coming back. He had a real good bullpen the other day. And Jeremy Goodall, has been our most reliable, quickest to recover starter. And we go with Chris Hunt, who is a fifth-year senior, and he's from South Charleston. And then we try to divide the fifth game of the week up between some freshmen and some other guys, position players that play and also hit. So I can't complain about it. It would have been better had everyone been on top of their game the whole season. But we've lost some close ball games. We've only been blown out a couple times, and that was with second line pitching. So all in all, I guess it's not exactly what I would have preferred. I would have preferred to have been undefeated, but that doesn't happen very often.
Yes, sir. Now, another person that we didn't talk about was Kendall. Kendall is your closer. I think he's made 11 appearances this year. He's got 6 saves, and last year he was all-region, all-conference. Just talk a little bit about Kendall and what he brings when he comes out into the ball game. He tends to shut it down. Well,
but before we get to Kendall, we have 3 or 4 other guys that we try to match up with through the 6th inning and let Kendall pitch the 7th inning, or if a pitcher's doing well, if we need him to bail us out late in the game. But we have Sabo, Butcher, and Fox, who are all kind of funky pitchers. Sabo throws a knuckleball, Butcher side armor, Fox a side armor. So you want to, in baseball pitching, there's 1 or 2 ways to go. You can either go with good stuff or funk. Now, if you're funky and have good stuff, you're well on your way. Or if you're good plus you're funky too, but Kendall has been kind of our savior. He has only thrown 1 pitch that he would like to have back, I think, through it all. And with all the stats and trying to match up pitchers against players and all that sort of thing, he has been the one guy that's been steady. He's a good leader. He's was an all-state quarterback, football, all-state wrestler, and he's a Roane County boy like I am. And he had made the adjustment himself. He was not going anywhere as an overhand pitcher, and one day he said, "What do you think about me throwing sidearm?" I said, "Well, go for it." And he has, and he's been a very steady influence for us.
Yeah, and his sidearm delivery isn't a typical sidearm delivery. It seems like it has over-the-top characteristics where, and that creates an interesting dynamic. How do you think that's helped him since he made that switch?
Well, the one thing that he does is it's a front side. In baseball, when I was growing up, they would always say you're dipping your back shoulder, you're dropping your back shoulder, you're stepping in the bucket, all those things. But really what we found out through technology and with being able to slow down a DVD at 500 frames per second, we found that it's the front side that's actually the problem. And in his case, he keeps his front side closed so long and you don't see the ball until late. And if he gets the ball down the way, it's unhittable.
Yeah, and that's something, we've seen it numerous times this year. He just comes in and shuts down ball games. Now, we got about 1 minute left here before the break. I just want to talk about UC this weekend. It's a big rivalry. You've played in a ton of games against UC. So just talk about how big of a rivalry UC West Virginia State is.
Baseball-wise, I don't see it as a rivalry. Everyone said, well, if you win these 2, if you win these 3. To me, we want to play and we want to win every game. And if it takes losing 3 to UC and still get to the regionals, I'll make that trade. Getting to the regional is the key. Most teams are trying to get to the conference tournament. We want to get to the regionals. You can't get to the World Series unless you win the regional. But, the weekend, as far as I'm concerned, is just another game. We're going to play 3. If we can win all 3, that'll be great. If we win 2 out of 3, that wouldn't be too bad. But I'm sure that, and they have a lot more to lose than we do because they're trying to make it to the playoffs. I think they're in 5th or 6th place. But I really don't see it as a rivalry. It's not a rivalry like it is in basketball with all the trash talking and football and all the rah-rah and all that sort of thing. In baseball, it's pretty much performance on the field, and it's long and drawn out. And if you get too keyed up, baseball is not a keyed up sport. You get keyed up, you're going to mess up. So we try to be laid back and play the game, actually play the ball.
Yeah, and this weekend, West Virginia State plays UC 3 times, doubleheader on Saturday and a 9-inning game on Sunday. It's time for a break. We'll step aside for a brief minute, and we'll be right back, continue our conversation with Coach Bailey.